Alrighty. Woo! All right, we're good. Woo! We just started it off, right, guys? Like, I believe that was the best way to start it off. Jeremy, Satish, we started off by watching a great Snickers commercial. If you want, you can watch this good old Snickers commercial, but we can talk about it later. So, we will answer questions about decisions, not Snickers, because while Snickers are good, I'm not a Snickers expert. I'm a decisions expert. So, if you got any questions, feel free to populate the chat with any questions about decisions, not Snickers. Those Snickers are good. Decisions, and I will answer it to the best of my ability, and I'll demonstrate it and maybe possibly build out a project for you if it is applicable. So go ahead, populate it. Satish, hey Jared, this is the first time I'm joining this session. Can we ask questions about the training here? So you can, but I won't prioritize those because this is primarily for people who have questions about their build that they're building for their company. So I'm going to prioritize those and then circle back with you if it's about a training thing. If you actually need help about training, what I would do is just email training at decisions right now. There's a trainer. I got a couple of the trainers on the call here, and there's a couple of them that are doing other things that we can definitely help you out better one-on-one at that time. So, alrighty. Marvin Alford, is there a way with an active form flow to access a flow structure within a flow that has multiple forms? Whoa, 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 whoa. What? I don't understand the question. I'm going to allow you to speak. Let me know what you got. What are you trying to do?
Okay, I've got a flow that has multiple forms,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm using a flow structure to capture those pieces of information. One of the forms has an active form flow on it.
Mm-hmm.
I would, within that active form flow, it appears that I can't access that flow structure down in the form. I'm down in the flow.
All right. So hold on a second.
Yeah,
I
I
got to
know.
visualize this. I'm open Visio.
Yep.
So how I'm understanding this blank drawing is you have a form, right?
Yep.
This is form, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then inside of this form, you have, can I make this bigger? Inside of this form, you have a active form flow, AFF,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Yep.
encompassing all of this, right? Giant square, send to back,
Yep.
send to back. What, that didn't work. Send to back, all the way. Send to back. There we go. All of this is a flow that is a process. And let's say this form goes to another process here,
Well, it goes
right?
to another form.
It goes to another form,
Yes.
and you want this AFF to talk to the other AFF on this form?
No. As
Okay.
part of that flow, the whole
Yeah.
flow that displays each of the forms, I have a flow structure.
Mm-hmm.
It just has some data in it, but not necessarily. And it's pre-built before the first form, for example.
Okay. So it's like over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's say I've got some data in that flow structure.
Okay.
From the active form flow, how can I gain access to that flow structure?
You can't
That's
unless
what
you,
I figured.
yeah, that it's kind of like, yeah, it's just not even the same realm.
Right.
Now what you could do is, let's say, because active form flow is just tied to the form. Now let's say there's
Right.
some data that you pre-populate on this form via the active form flow via like the input data here, or input data, and then your AFF could access the input data of that way. But I would
Right.
question, but that's not a good design if you're just utilizing
Well,
the input data
I've
for like
got
data
I've
manipulation.
got a Boolean value that lets me know if I'm in production or not. And within that active form flow, to keep from reinventing the wheel and creating another rule, I was hoping to check somehow the value that's stored in that flow structure.
Or is it so flow structures aren't stored? Is it
Well,
a flow structure or is it a stored data structure?
no, it's a flow structure. I haven't saved
Got
my
it.
data yet into a entity.
Yeah,
Entity.
then there's not a way to really determine what let's just extrapolate a higher level. What is the like what were you hoping to
I
try to
mean,
do?
I have an if condition in the active form flow that looks to see if I'm in production, but I
But
have already determined that information in the flow structure before the first form. In other words, I set a variable and saved it in the
the flow
flow
structure.
structure to say, am I
Yeah.
in production? Yes or no? I was
But
hoping to just check that value in the flow structure without having to create another rule that does basically the same thing. Checking for, flow dot, whatever it is.
that's where like so why do you what you would check to see if something's in production if that's that's an architect repository question that we're trying to determine via design. What would happen is you would go to your repo and see what revision that element's on, and then see if like the current revision on that dev branch and that prod branch are the same.
That sounds like even more, because I was just looking at the URL. If it was a specific value, then
Could we,
the it would be true or false.
but could we extrapolate though? Like I don't, what are we trying to do? Why do you need to know if something's in prod or dev? Why do we have to do it this
We
design way?
have situations where we manipulate emails.
Mm-hmm.
In production, they're not manipulated. If they're not in production, they're basically changed and put invalid in the email. And
Couldn't you just check the flow data portal-based URL?
well, I did, and I stored that result in the flow structure originally before I even get to the first form.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
I think you have that in the form level. Like if I went here, I think you still have flow data. I could still grab the base portal URL in the active form flow.
and then I turn around. Well, sure, that flow data is there, but then I have to turn around and write another rule to say check that variable again when I've already done it. Just I mean, I have a solution. I was just hoping there was a cleaner
Oh,
way to keep from having to repopulate to look for that string value, over and over, mistyping or whatever, just
I
so
mean, do you have the
basically the
form
answer
ID of
is
the
no.
thing?
I just have to do it the way I've been doing it.
I wonder if there's a form ID. Yeah, the answer is no, because active form flows are not present of that. I was curious if maybe you can grab the form ID from this thing, but I don't think you have that here. Form steps visible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no way to get that unless
That's
form
kind of what
one.
I thought you'd say,
Yeah.
but I've just figured, hey, just in case,
Gotcha.
thought I'd ask.
Cool, cool. All right. Who else? Smith, Jeremy, you got questions? Go right ahead.
Thank you. You guys are the
Mm-hmm.
best. You saved me from typing. I was about to type a long one.
Sweet. You don't have to do that.
Okay. So what I wanted to ask was, whenever there is a button, right? And how can I pass the data so that if the button, or the only way the button can open another form is using, yesterday you were telling me I haven't tried the sub dialog box. Is that the only way, or is there another way
To
to
launch a
open a
form?
form? Yeah, in a form, I when you click on in a form, when you click on a button, I wanted to open another form.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You're just asking like, what are other design ways you can do that?
Yes, that is one thing. And then the main thing is like when you open another form, right? Assuming that I have some whatever those fields and stuff like that, I edit it and I want that data, whatever is in that, to be say updated into a database. So basically, I should be in a position to capture this thing. How do I do that?
Let me answer the first question, then I'll have you read the second one because I didn't quite follow. But as to the first question, different design patterns or designs that you can make with forms that run other forms is what you
Mm-hmm.
could do is I can have one form that shows me stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then I could do a kind of like a series of forms right after one another. And so I can debug this and it would give you the same experience where I raise event, I do something, and I can go to the next one, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
that's one design pattern. We actually use this one in our lending application,
Mm-hmm.
in our training to show users how to do that. And then I can easily also, like I can call this button back, right? I can say this is the back button. And
Mm-hmm.
then what I can do with this outcome path is I can say, hey, I actually want to go back to this form, right? And so then I've
Okay.
created a process where I can do something here. Customer says, oh, I forgot something. Go back here, do it again, and then I can proceed
Okay.
after running data. So that's one way to run the form.
Mm-hmm.
The other way was the one I think that was showed to you the other day, so I won't spend too much time on that one.
Sure.
But another one that you could do is subdialog flow works, but you can also use an advanced data grid.
Mm-hmm.
Advanced data grid. Let me go ahead and run that one. And so what we can do here is I can say, all right, let's grab the accounts. I can spell it. I can spell it very well. And then let's do input data. We'll say is data, edit stuff. And I can add, what do you call it? Information, email address. We're just doing that. And then there's actually a calculated column. I think it's called, there's one that you have to be aware of to never use. I think it's called, was it run flown line field? Yeah, the run flown line field is the safe one. You can go over here and check show UI, and then I can say that this is run another form, right? And then when I save this, I can pick and create another flow that's going to be like display row data in a form, right? And then I can go ahead and run this, and then I'm just going to create a very small form here. Run here, pick existing, show me some form stuff. We'll do some buttons over here, and then I close and save this. Okay. And we'll save this. And then now all I need to do, yeah, I know I probably broke a couple dependencies, but that's okay. We like to break things here. Ooh, okay, no, it's fine. And so I'm just gonna build an array. I'll build a data. I'm gonna build just the email address, and I'll say this is constant, and this is hello, Smitha. And then now when I debug this, I'll have hello, Smitha, and then I can run another form, and it runs another form for me. Actually, I think I picked the wrong form. I actually ran the same form that I have it on. So it's probably a bad design because you don't want to create a loop. So let me go ahead and change that real quick. And I'll say show form, create a new form, data, button, checkbox, data, check, save, go here, close and save, just so you can actually see that it is different because I think that was a little hard to grasp. So cool, I debug this. Boom, now I can raise the event by running this. I can also now run another form, which pops up another form tied to extending my form experience, and then I can run that. and then close it out that way. The last way I'll show you is I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go show you a project that I'm kind of building out where I kind of use this paradigm where what you can do is this is an enhanced purchase request project. And what I do here is I run this and on a data repeater, I have a sub dialog per row of requests that I have. And so I can add details, add a link, it captures who, any comments for each of the requests. And so you can do that as well. This is just a data repeater with a sub dialog button on it, but it creates it per row and it's tied to that specific row's data. So it's kind of another way you can do that as well. Those are the two, I think, basic ways to kind of handle that type of request. So.
And if I want to now, I have a form popping up. That's like one of these one of these ways. I'll just take another form. The
Mhm.
user enters the data and all that. So if I wanted to update it to the database, then all I do is select data from flow and pass it as parameters. How can I pass it in a query?
So that one, you want to pass it as a query?
I wanted as to pass it as input to say I run a query or something like that, right? Basically, I want it updated to an external database. So
Hmm.
I need to pass these as variables, whatever I get. Probably whatever is when the user, you have another form there, right? If it was in a text editing text or something like that, you would have said something like Smita, whatever that. If this instead
Mm-hmm.
of checkbox,
Sure.
in this case it's a checkbox, but if
Yeah.
you had a text or something like that, you would have had that value, and I want that
Mhm.
value to be passed to my procedure or query. So how can I capture that value?
Is the so is let me just ask a clarifying question. Is that like save step here outside
Yes,
of so it's in the
yes,
main flow where you want that to occur?
yes,
Ah,
after
interesting.
I click the button, it should somewhere, anywhere, once I close
Gotcha.
the form, it should save to the database.
Gotcha. Hmm. The best way that you do that is let me walk through that other example because if you do the inline flow, you would have to save it on the inline flow level.
That's fine.
There's
That is
okay.
one option. In the inline flow button, I would
Yeah,
have it.
but there'd be no way, but there's no way to send that variable back, is what I'm saying,
Oh, it
to the
won't go
main
back to the
flow.
database?
Well, no, you can go back to the database. But what you'd have to do is, let's say I go back into this one, and where is that? I think it's this one, right? So inside of this, if I use the advanced data grid option,
Hmm.
there is no way, if I debug this right now, you won't see this data checkbox output anywhere. And I click on this, it's not outputted anywhere,
Right.
right? I even go here, it's not outputted because it's
Mm.
tied into that kind of rule flow, that sub dialog flow experience. So what I would have to do is inside, if I did this method, this is if you did this method, we'll talk about the other two. If you did this method, then in this flow, I would have to have my integration database and then my local defined, you know, I don't have one. So I'm just going to do a placeholder holder step. And then this would be my save data, save data step. So it would be within inside the confines of the sub dialog form experience. So that's if you chose this way. The other ways, if we did it the data repeater way, the one that I showed you with the other project,
Yes.
what we have here, how I did it with this one, because I think this is probably more of the way you want to go, is since I created a data repeater, let's just debug this, right? So this actually stores it on the data repeater and it gets outputted from that data repeater. Over here, here's the data repeater. That's the input side. Only outputs. Boom. List of requests. So this is the data that I've populated that I've actually put on that data type that's actually not saved to the database yet. But later on in this process, I actually loop through all of the requests, and that's when I write them to the database. So the best way to have it where it is aware of the parent flow that the main form resides in, the data repeater way would be the best option for you. Or you can have a sub dialog update just a data grid, an advanced data grid inside of your main form, and then that gets outputted to the main process. But those are the only two ways you can really handle that. And then you can attach to your save to database step.
Okay. Otherwise, it would be each thing, right? Like if I have a button, if I go with the other thing in this data repeater, it would have multiple edits, I think, right?
It could.
And it would store I mean, when I'm passing it to the database, it would with the identity primary keys, it would pass it as an array.
It would pass as an array. Yeah, if you did, yeah, if you pulled the data from it and then outputted it, then yeah, it's going to be the list. So if I go back to my request form, my data repeater on the output section, you can see it says a list of requests. So yours would be a list of whatever your type is. And then that would allow you to loop through if you have multiple, or if it's just one, then you can just run it as one.
Okay. But if I am having it as like two forms and then I call a save entity or something like that. So
Mhm.
in that, I just, when I'm passing it as a save entity to the database, so it would have my outputs, right? Like, if it's one form and adding something to it.
Save entities won't output anything. It just saves the
Oh,
data. So if you go
yeah,
to
yeah.
save entities here, yeah.
Can I save it to you? Can I use a query to save it?
Can you use a query to save it?
In the sense, can I use an update statement? Like, can I call a query, a database query kind of a thing, like an update statement or something? Or what should I use?
I mean, you could, but these steps essentially that's what these are. This
Oh, okay.
is essentially just insert value or update, update set where is kind of what this is in the background. So you wouldn't really be gaining anything but of actually writing that database query and doing it that way because you
Okay.
can utilize these steps to do that. Even like the update entity step, you can say, hey, update all the types and do it that way.
Oh, okay. But in the save entities or update, can I choose what columns I want to insert?
So
Whatever.
yeah,
Okay.
so you just have to the update way would be a different paradigm. So
Mm-hmm.
let me kind of show you of just how like that would work. So for example, I would have a list of I'm just going to do a single value. All right, let's say I have what would be a simple type that I can do? Let's say do I have, oh yeah, I got this account coming from here, do I? I do. Haha, yeah. So let's say I have this account that I want to save, right? What I can do is there's going to be account over here, and then I can build the array or build the data and then and then choose the things I want to update and map it out that way. And so you use the input mappings to change. Another way you could do it is I have the list of account. I'm always saving one account. Let's say I want to save that account that comes from here. And I think this is just a view. So let me set this as an output. Yeah, it's only on output all. So we'll say output data, right? And so now I have this entity account and this thing actually outputs a list of accounts. And so let's say I need to update that email address because it just says hello Smitha. I want it to be an actual email address. What you can do is you can store wherever that person, that information, or it can get updated in flight from, that particular form. And then all you do is you just pass in the first or the single item inside of it, and then it will have that update. So in your form, so we can let me try to say I build this real quick. Stuff I need to change the first value in my here, let's say, let's add a text message, text box. Really? Oh, that's silly me. I'm not in the form. Edit data, text box. Updated email. Right. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take whatever's in the updated email and I'm gonna output that into the selected row, which in this case is the email address. And then now if I run this process, and what I'll do is I'll take in what the initial one is, so I can see what I changed it into. So to kind of slow down, because I use this type of report handler flow, I have the input of all the stuff that's in the report. And I can take in that text value, see what it originally is. I can edit it on the form. And then what the form's going to do is it's going to change the value that you see after it runs. So just so you can kind of visualize what happens when I do this. So I can say, all right, let's go ahead, debug this. Bang, we got hello Smitha. I'm going to say this is hello Robert. And then button. And then let's refresh this. Oh no, it didn't work. I think I put it in the wrong thing. Hello Smitha, Robert. I wonder if it didn't update. Yeah, it didn't update. Let me go ahead and test in here. Account data, output selected item, edit the source. I wonder if it just has to be editable. Can edit. Because we're using the report thing and that's what makes it a little funky. Includes and data is edit. Can edit. Let's try that now. And I wonder if that will make a difference. I actually don't think it will. Refresh. No. Did I set it? I'm pretty sure I set it right. If not, was it what time? I don't want to spend too much time on this and someone else has a question. If not, I can keep building this out. So I think the main thing is for can sort, can edit, allow. That's that. No, edit the flow ID. What I want to do is just show pop-up. I can't spell.
And in this form, what is the save data actually?
That's just a placeholder. It doesn't do anything. It's
Okay,
just a
right.
random thing.
Mhm.
I want to find out why. Does it need to be page data? And what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually want to select a row, update selected row text value. Yeah, it should be. Oh, is it the selected row text value? Yeah, because that's the row that you click on. I'm wondering if it changed the value, and this is where you have to do how many properties?
Would it be that we have our advanced data grid to info only so it doesn't pass out as selected?
No, I changed that. That I
Oh,
changed. What I want to figure out is if this thing is actually even outputting the data, or I know that the property. Hold on. Well, the text value one did get the email because it grabbed that, then rename. This could be a limitation on this. I don't think so because I remember building something like this. Data rename change. And then let me make sure that I specify this user to be me so I can make sure that I can see this. Bum, bum. So I just don't know if it's even changing. Okay, so it does change it. It just doesn't appear. You have to reload the form. Maybe that's why. I wonder if there's another. I think I know I've configured this thing weird where it's not showing that update in here. Because I want to illustrate, I'm going to try to think of another way to do this, of where you would change the value of it. Because essentially what would happen is I get the current data, we change it on here, and then we save it. I know I've done this. This is going to be frustrating. I know I've done this before millions of times. Edit flow ID. So this so should change that. So we can change that selected row, change that field value. Sure. And we change this. And then I wonder if there's something on the report. Action settings, by default override. Where? You know what? I could probably just show you this way. If I debug this, so what happens here, I ask for a lamp, right? I can add details of my lamp. Let's say my link to get the lamp is, at decisions.com. We're just gonna be creative with this. And then I could say is I need this to see in the dark, right? So I click this done, it saves it. I can go back and I can look at it and I can change it and say, anything in the dark. I also work at night like a vampire. Right? And then when I click done, it saves that. And then I also need this. And then let's say I request this, right? And then what's going to happen? Oh, I just killed it. Darn it. But then what's going to happen is it's going to go in and then save that request and save that data. So I'm updating the variable list in here. And then when it gets to my actual create request, or in this case, let's say your save entity step, or your create request for your composite type, then it will write that record. Over here, I'm just having the difficulty of with this one not updating that piece of information with it. But that's kind of the thing with it. Does that kind of make sense? Does that kind of clear it up a little bit?
Sure, I'll try this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Where is it? Look at this. Full name, page. I wonder if it just, but it does change it. Rename change. Yeah, I know that now it doesn't say anything.
If
If you have another question, go ahead. Go ahead.
If you have another question, I would ask anything. You can take any other questions if you have.
I think it's just you and Jeremy. Jeremy, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm looking at everything, so I don't think so. I think it's just you. Oops. Hopefully I didn't. Yeah, go ahead.
Where did you get that calculated columns when you were showing the advanced grid?
Yeah, that's in that is if you collapse this, you get calculated columns here. And then the one that you want to get is run flow and line field.
Got it.
You never want to use this one. Always avoid this one because you will have significant performance hits in your process. So it's the run flow and line field that's okay, not the flow and line.
Okay, and then I add that and configure that to call whatever I want. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, because actually that's not going to work because it just has no foreknowledge of it.
And when in this data grid, right, in the advanced data grid, when you have edit and all those kind of things, when you choose other options instead of info only, you get those additional buttons which you can add. If you put it like probably inline edit or something, or whatever, maybe in this also you get those additional buttons, right? Add button and stuff like that. So that what if you choose the add button in the input data? If you go to the input data down below. Yeah, that option. I think I got an option to do dynamic add or something like that.
Yeah, I just don't have those controls on my form. You could do that whether it's on output or info mode only.
Oh, okay. If that
So there's
comes,
a specific button you have to find. I think it's called add, and you have the dynamic grid add. So if I put this on it will appear.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just the name of this thing. So if I call this cheese up here, then it will say, hey, you have cheese.
Oh, okay. So, but that's just like any other button.
It's a button in the fact that you can click on it. Yeah, but it's only tied to the data grid advanced.
Okay, how is it different? So now what I saw is if I add that, right, whatever is my input, it pops up another form with that input, which is good. And I'm assuming if I output that, I mean, it would get selected in the outputs and I should be able to update it in my database, correct?
If you click add?
Yes.
I didn't follow.
Yeah.
Add just allows you to add more records in the data grid.
Oh, that's just to add records in the data grid, not like an add button to update the
No, yeah, this is just a button to, so like if I go into, that's what, that's what it's not a traditional button in the sense, meaning if I add another button here, right? I have button one, now I have a new outcome path called button one.
Correct.
If I have dynamic grid or data repeater, data grid add, and then remove over here, and then I tie that into my specific thing, add and remove, right? Then I can run this and do add more values. See, I can add some more data to it, and then I can remove the entry that I have. So that's all that it does there.
Okay,
That.
but it won't pass. I cannot pass it to the next flow and all that. I really need a button to do it, right? It's just adding it in this grid so that it
Well, that's
displays.
why you need an action outcome button. There's
Okay,
several
got
different
it.
types of buttons that will actually
Okay,
let you to proceed to the next step.
okay,
And then with
got
that.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And what does this data repeater actually use mainly for?
It's basically if you want to display a list of items in a form-like experience, right? So this is a data repeater. So I have another form here that I can add more stuff to, and it's these are tiny mini forms on it where I can
Okay.
output a list of items.
Oh,
So instead of having a view that's like the data grid, which leverages the report designer, I can have something that leverages the form designer, and I can have a better UI experience, use sub-dialog flows, and then easily reference those a lot
okay,
better.
got it. Okay, this helps.
Awesome. See, I really want to figure this one out because I know I've done this before. That's what's inline edit. Let's try that one. Maybe that's what it was. I just need inline edit, but I don't think so. Watch, that will be the missing ingredient. Up, edit flow. Did I fix this? I think I fixed this. Inline edit. The inline edit just means that I could on the thing. Oh, run another form. Hello, Robert. Yeah, so it doesn't change, and it could be maybe just the data I've used. Maybe if I have another set of data. Because I know when you use the kind of the default for the decisions ones, it's a little different on how that works. Static default items. You output data, you edit the stuff. Because I set it to the type. What's the type that I know I can edit? Let's see. You know what? Let's do this. We got time. Oh, I have an FS. Prop one. Okay, cool. Let's try that one. That looks like I can do something with it. Test forms and flows. So we're going to do that test FS. There we go, test FS. And now I need to go ahead and edit this. Yeah, I know. That's broken now because it's a different one. So we go prop 2, 3, 4, string prop. So string prop, I'll have something, and then on the run calculated column, run phone line field, I'm going to say, please allow change. Oh, cool. Let's see. We got a question. Jeremy asked, when writing it to an Excel file, can you insert a hyperlink with the display text? Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and save this, and then we can try to. So let's see if I can create a small one. Excel adding hyperlink. Are you talking about creating it from a flow? I'll give you permission to talk, Jeremy. Are you talking about creating it from a flow, or are you talking about just like from the report designer?
From a flow, trying to create a dynamic report instead of just putting a raw URL, I'd want to hide it behind a display text. But I wasn't sure how to accomplish that.
Let's say convert text, add dynamic, get cell value, insert into row. Let me see. I think we
I'm
could.
fairly certain that that's a limitation that we don't have just with these steps. I'm not 100% certain about like doing it from like reports and stuff like that, but like in Excel, setting up like the text and everything to cover up a hyperlink, I think you have to use like certain Excel buttons and things to start that, and I don't think you can do that from decisions. Unless
Here's what
there's
I
like,
think.
a formula or whatever that you can type
I'm
up.
thinking, what if we do this? What if we do this? You can combine another step with it. And we can say this is decisions.com. Come on, fingers, don't fail me now. Decisions.com. Actually, no, I did the wrong way. I wanted to set this to decisions.com, and I think that's the right URL. And we'll say, go to decisions. And what I can do then is I can set values in the column. Input file is going to be the create new Excel file. File type is XLX. Worksheet number, I guess, is 1 or 0. We'll start it at 0. Column starts at 1. New value we'll build the array link. Try to parse numbers, constant, false. Fields starting with our equals or formula. Okay, I wonder if this will work. And we can show download. I gotta create this. Hold on a second. Show form. Create form. Show or download file. Download file. File download. Say file. I forgot to add a button to it. You know what? I don't need to add a button to it. Hee hee. Look at that. Create Excel file, because I think that this thing doesn't output anything, right, Jeremy? Yeah, it doesn't output anything.
Correct. Yeah, it should just update the create new Excel files file.
Okay, cool. So then if I debug this, boom, download the file. XLSLX, that's horrible. Ah, so it doesn't. That's unfortunate. So what it does, it adds a little tag here
Yeah,
for
I'm
it.
pretty
So it adds
sure
the
I'm
reference
pretty sure
tag.
it's because it's like a function that you can do. It's like similar to because I was messing around with this a lot and then like conditional formatting's another type of thing that you can't add just with
Mm-hmm.
those Excel steps in decisions because it's like an extra function that you can only do in like clicking Excel buttons and things. So it's a small limitation. But again, I'm not sure about I'd have to play with using the Excel templates or using like creating it from reports. But just using these Excel to CSV steps, I don't think you can do that.
I I have one extra thought on this. What if we
Mm-hmm.
added an equals hyperlink and then passed it in as a formula instead, so it treats it like that, and we might get a hyperlink out of it.
Equals hyperlink.
Right, right. So the format for that would be the same way that you're creating. Oh, yeah, the create data, pass it in. Um,
What
well,
is it like?
oh well, I mean, like we still put the same input for the URL. Let me
Well, yeah, but isn't there? I think in Excel you're talking about there's like.
right, when we're formatting what to put in the column, we check is formula for the text in the set Excel row and put is hyperlink. Oh, I see. We're just gonna,
Oh,
yeah,
so okay, so you're doing it a different way. You're suggesting. Okay, I see what you're saying. So you actually wanted to keep. So just. Okay, I see. So data,
right,
and you're gonna say click me is just it, and then you want to have a set formula. That's what I
right.
think too.
Well, in the
Data.
Well,
set
you don't
values
need
in
a
column.
yeah, you don't need a set formula. It's what he's saying, Jared. There's a Excel has a formula for making a hyperlink, So that might work because we can use that. That field starting with equals is a um
So
formula thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we would pass in we would do instead of select from flow, we would do merge text editor for that for item 0.
For IM0, gotcha.
Yeah, we go merge text editor and then
Is it merged or plain? I guess plain.
I guess that works too. Yeah, and then here I can put this in the chat. This is just a general Excel formula here. And so we would put in our data that way and say equals hyperlink, and then we put our URL that we can map
Yeah.
in. I'm wondering if this will work.
I think it will. I have hope. Decisions, I'm assuming I have to do the whole thing. And then the friendly name. This will be click me. And then, so what's the point? I don't need this then. Yeah, we could just do it as this way. And I think we should be fine. There's.com. Let's see. Okay, I think it's good. Let's give it a shot.
You have to go back to Jared, go back to the set values in column. At the
Uh,
bottom, you have to check that box, field starting with equals or formulas. So it
oh, I
recognizes
see
that
what
it's a
you.
formula.
I just
I
realized I was
see.
muted the whole time I was trying to say that. My bad.
I didn't like it. It says absent operand / based on cell sheet A1 string builder worksheet. So we have that as a formula and I didn't like that.
Put a bracket around the name, possibly because that was our formatting was showing a bracket for that instead of the link location. So let's try that.
Where?
Around click me.
A bracket.
Yeah, try it. Let's see if that
This?
works. Yes. I don't know if this will work,
I
but
feel
it's
like
an
it's,
idea.
yeah. I don't think so. I think that was just the variable housing inside of it.
Right. It
That's
looked
what
like it
I
was
think.
confused about the slash. Is it something with that in the HTTP? It said absent operand for, and then it showed the slash in the
Hmm.
error handling.
Absent
In the
operand.
third row, absent operand for, and then it has the
Yeah,
two
the
slash.
/ but that's weird because I have it.
But I think it
This is
might be
saying we don't need
confusing
it.
it.
I don't need
Oh,
it.
Maybe.
maybe.
I don't think that makes sense. Yeah, I was like,
You see
invalid
now it's
table,
different though.
invalid reference. So it's saying that reference isn't real.
Well, it should be in table. Huh. Interesting.
Well, that's the hyperlink
Yeah, that looks
because I feel like
good.
that's colon whack whack. Does it need to be in quotes so it
Possibly.
knows?
I can look into that.
Nope. Because now it's just saying invalid table reference. No table name. No table name. XLS merge. I want to get this. I feel like we can do this. It's just a matter of figuring out. Oh, let me remove the click me thing.
You might put quotes around that might.
Yeah, because I think it's failing to run this. Hey. We messed up the formula. So it adds an at.
Maybe we need the brackets still. I don't know.
Link location. I don't think the brackets are needed because if I remove this, hyperlink. What's that? I wonder what the Excel there because it's so I think you can do it. I think it's just invalid name error. Let's see what Excel thinks. Yeah, this seems like it's something you can do in the syntax of the formula.
Add a space after the comma.
HTTPS. We did the link location. Goes hyperlink for that. What's the
It looks like there's a space after the comma. It might not appreciate that.
I just did that on mine and I have a space and it worked.
Oh,
equals hyperlink over my file equals hyperlink. So do both of these things do need to have? So I'm wondering, here we go. Let's try this one more time. Don't save this. We parse this as a formula, there is an at. I'm wondering if we have to do this via merge plain text. I want to make this a constant. Our hyperlink HTTP example, and we did that. There is a space to it, all right? And so now, I think it adds this weird at. I don't know why it adds this at. What is the spacing in URL encoding? Is that the spacing thing? Oh, okay, it's 20. So you had adds. It looks like it adds this at sign. But the funny thing is, even if I remove it,
Can you drop the space and click me? Between click and me?
yeah, it should be fine. Because I can test this out right here, right? If I did the same thing here, hyperlink, right? Hyperlink, and then I did HTTPS whack-whack-decisions.com. This comma howdy partner, and boom, it works.
Hmm.
So that is actually correct. There's just something weird from, yeah, I'm just not sure why it adds a space into it. That's the only thing that's weird, because it seems like it should, because obviously you saw me type the formula here, I can click on it, and then it takes me to decisions.com. But for some reason, I don't know why in the set column, if I say set values, new values into the column. Field starting with equals our formula. Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Is hyperlinks correct equals? Now I'm just trying to like laughs and giggles some stuff. Because I feel like we should be able to do this. Like we're so close on doing it. Because we have that. And if I add that. Unrecognized text. Getting formula error unrecognized text from this Excel formula. Oh, interesting. It looks like it's something with it looks like it's something with a quotation. That's what it is. So if I fix this, let's say I backspace this. See how that's curved quotes? This is straight quotes. You see that?
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's something the way how we format the quotes. And here we don't. Yeah. So I think it's so it seems like we could do this, but the way that we format the quotes, I don't want this, is what's causing it. Because this is straight quotes though. I think it's straight. Or it's curved here. Maybe it's because it's copied. Wait, okay, we're gonna click me. Click. I think those are straight quotes, right? That looks like it's straight. Those look like they're straight quotes. And then I debug, download. That's not it. Don't get too excited. Hey, it worked. Ha ha! Look at that. That's all it was. So yeah, so I guess you just have to make sure that the quotes are not that the quotes are straight and not curved. I don't know how I got curved quotes before, but that's what it was. It's the quote format. So it looks like, yes, this would work, Jeremy. You just have to make sure that these quotes are not curved. And I wonder if they got curved because I used the merge plain text editor. Or because I use the let's use merge plain. I want to see if this works. That looks fine. Click another test. And I think it will work. Yeah, it works. That's all it was. So yeah, you can do it. It's just the quotes were weird. So I'll learn something new today. Good questions. Any other questions before we wrap up? All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the lunch and learn. Thank you so much for attending. I appreciate you guys. And we'll go ahead and get this recording uploaded so you guys can see that information and you can learn how to apply formulas on your spreadsheets. So, all right, guys, take care and see you guys next time.